What's the best thing that's happened to you in your life?
I would say Garth, really, because I thought I was happy before, but I think I settled a lot in my life because I just didn't know. It's not a diss to anyone I was with before. It's just that I didn't know this existed. It's wonderful to be with somebody who you have a great friendship with, who really is your friend, who will tell you as your friend, this is what I think. It's also wonderful that we do share the same career because we talk about our careers in a way that we understand what the other one's going through. So there is really a greatness in that. It's good for us that we do the same thing because there's an understanding of what the other one does. And we're crazy about each other, you know? So I don't, you know, I hear people talk about how, you know, I really love it when my husband goes on the road because I get some, and I like my time. I love to sit with a book and read and have coffee, but I love that he's in the other room checking his email or whatever. I mean, it's like we enjoy each other's company. So it's truly made elevated everything in my life to a better place.
How does it work in a household where you have two superstars? I mean, Garth Brooks is a superstar himself, but you were a superstar before you met Garth Brooks, certainly before you married him.
Well, that's a nice thing to say.
So how does it work in a household? Frankly, it's hard for me to imagine how two people who've reached the pinnacle of their profession, as you have, can make it under one roof.
Well, we are both driven, and we are both sort of type A personalities, so that sometimes is a little bit of that, you know, but we both love each other. I mean, we really are truly best friends, and so we have probably in our lives before being together, even though we were both married before, we did what we wanted. We were very alpha. We were very, this is the way it's going to be, and if you're going to be with me, you're going to just have to follow what I'm doing. And now that we're in a relationship where we truly want to make the other one happy, there's sacrifice, and that's hard for type A people, you know, to make sacrifice. We're used to everybody else falling in line, but we do it well. I mean, we both were raised in families that were very much about family, so we, you know, for him to make that the conscious choice to really walk away from his career to raise his children, he gets a lot of. For him, it was an obvious choice, but for someone who entertaining is your life, it's not an easy decision to make. For me to say, I'm not retired. I'm a touring artist, but we're a couple, and we made a decision that we didn't want to be together to be apart. So I cut my touring dates back dramatically to be with him.
You care about your music. You care about your family and your marriage. What else do you care about? What other passions do you have? Your passion for politics? Passion for foreign policy?
No, I mean, I know just enough about politics to get mad, but I don't really know why. You know what I mean? It's like I really need to have that politics for dummies lesson, you know, because I've always said I'm not political because I don't feel like it's an artist's place to be political, but sometimes I feel like that's just an excuse for not getting involved. So I'm passionate about, you said it, I mean, music and family. I love to do things that are charity based that I can physically do. I'm big into Habitat for Humanity because I like to swing a hammer. It might just be taking out aggression, but I love that organization because their slogan is a hand up, not a handout, and they really do. You build alongside the homeowner. They put in their own sweat equity, but I've learned how to frame a wall. I know how to lay concrete. I know how to do every job there is. The only thing I haven't done is roofed, but just because I don't want to get on top of the house. And I like that it's a way to give back that really gets your hands dirty. I've been inspired by, we've done several of the bills with the Carters. We just did one this past year in Texas with President Carter and Miss Rosalynn, and you know, he's 90. And he, you know, it starts to rain and all of the builders are going in to get cover, and he's out there with a slicker on, hammering nails on the side, you know, and somebody who'd never worked with him before said, President Carter's out there in the rain. I said, this is your first bill with him, isn't it? You know, he sets the tone, you know, he's an example to me of, you know, what he's done since his presidency is probably a bigger legacy than anything he did in office. And he's such a wonderful man and an inspiring man and leads by example. And if he walks by you on a bill site and you're not doing something, you know, he will say, "Do you need something to do?" You know, like, "No, sir, Mr. Carter, I have something to do right here." You know, so I love doing. I'm passionate about that.
A lot of singers write songs, but you don't write many songs.
Right. I think I'm smart. Again, I say if I'm not good at it, if it comes easily to me, I'll do it. Writing is one of those things that I think I have potential as a writer. My husband would say, "Don't say you're not a writer," you know, because he and I wrote a song together actually that was on the album that he did, the Chris Gaines project, but it was a conversation. I'm not really good with rhyme. I think I'm good with telling a story. I wrote all the every word in the cookbooks I wrote. So I can tell a story, but I'm not so great with rhyme. So we wrote a song called Main Street, and he said, "Tell me about growing up in your small town." And so we had a conversation, and then he took that conversation and made it rhyme, and he said, "This is what you just wrote." I thought, "Oh, that's really awesome." But for me, my background as a singer was a session singer for a lot of writers and publishers. So I know a lot of really great writers. And, you know, songs like Walk Away Joe and She's in Love with a Boy, the song Remembers When. If I could write something like that, I would record it, you know. But so far, I've got a lot of bad poetry from high school, so you're not gonna hear it.
Well, you recorded so many songs over the years. In your own heart of hearts, what's your favorite song of the songs you've done?
That's a tough question. I think the song that pops into my head is the song Remembers When. It was written by a man named Hugh Prestwood, and it's a story, but it talks about the power of music, and it's kind of that story about how you can be in your car and not thinking about anything, and a song comes on the radio and it takes you right back to a memory that you didn't even remember that you had. You know, that's the power of music. I think that song probably is the one that kind of sums it up. I wanted to just go to Nashville, and you know, I'm 18. I want to be a singer, but I grew up in a house where education was not an option. You know, it wasn't like, will you go to college? It's like, where will you go? So I'd heard about Belmont College in Nashville, and I decided that that's where I needed to be. And I wanted to finish school, and I wanted to be in Nashville. And if I got accepted into Belmont, I was going. So I graduated with a degree in business with a concentration in music business. I was in the town that I felt like I needed to be in for what I wanted to do. Ultimately introduced me to some of the writers that ended up getting me session work in town as a demo singer, which is what ultimately helped me really be discovered, even though I didn't know it at the time that was going to be my path. And it turned out to be the best decision I made. I had that moment that we all have, but I luckily was 19 or 20 that I thought, if I don't try it, then I'll get to wake up at 40 and wonder what it might have been like, and I don't want to know what might have been. That would have been the biggest regret of my life.
You wound up with a business degree. Did it help you in any way in the music business once you got into it?
Well, I mean, nobody's ever asked me to see my diploma to give me a record deal, you know, but I do think, especially early on, you know, that first impression that you make with somebody, the first meetings that I had with record labels, because my degree is actually in business, but it's a concentration in music business, so I took classes like artist management and concert promotion and everything that you would do as an artist. And so I had a little bit of knowledge about everything, not very much, but enough to carry on a conversation where they thought I knew what I was talking about. So I felt like I entered into my career with at least the perception that I kind of knew the business, and I knew just enough to have a conversation. And that's how, you know, that's how you're looked upon for your whole career, you know. So it definitely helped me a lot in the beginning. And I also really love to be able to tell young girls who come up to me and say, "I want to do what you do, you know, what should I do?" I love to tell them, get your education, because I did. You know, I think if I hadn't graduated from college, it would be hard for me to tell them to go to college. And now that I have my own children, and our youngest is a singer and a writer, it's great that I can say, you can do all that, but you need to get your education.